Hello, everybody, and welcome to a really special webcast for the EPALE community platform. You might ask me, why is it special? Well, I invite you to look up at the banner on the top, and you can see that we are celebrating 10 years of existence of EPALE. So happy birthday and congratulations to the EPALE community. In this world of political and economic uncertainty, there has never been a more important time to be focusing on making sure that as many citizens as possible have the literacy and critical thinking skills that would help them to navigate a complicated world, to build more opportunity, to be able to create and take part in economic opportunity. So we know that EPALE really fits a need right now. But if you can imagine, what were you doing 10 years ago? How was the world different? Well, just to give you an idea, social media exploded into the world in the early 2010s. So just before the EPALE community came forward. And we're going to find out in this special webcast a little bit more about the history of EPALE, where did it come from, and what does it hope to achieve? Because anniversaries are a good time to look back and reflect and think about what's happening. And to that end, we've got a great podcast that's available for you to listen to. We asked EPALE's adult learning expert, Heini Huhtinen, to ask 3 individuals with diverse experiences and perspectives on the adult learning and education across Europe. So we've got Isabel Kempf, who's the director of the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, Rafael Herrer, the Secretary General of the European Association for Adult Education, and Lidwin Vostenval, a community worker in adult education and an EPALE ambassador. And all 3 of them in this great podcast tell from their perspectives a little bit more about EPALE. So that's a great podcast for you to listen to. What we know is over the past decade, EPALE has served as a vital platform, a space for policymakers, educators, stakeholders, learners to come together, to exchange their ideas, share honest views of the problems that they've experienced, some of the ways they found to address those problems, and just the experiences they've had, and most importantly, the testimony of trainers and learners themselves. Now, we are marking the 10th anniversary exactly on this day, April 15th. So this is really a time to explore what it's that the EPALE community has done and how it has achieved change. So to do that, I'm going to introduce to you some of the people who were involved in EPALE from the beginning. So mark your diaries. This is a date for you there. You've got the 15th of April, live streaming from 10 onwards, and there'll be lots of things happening, and particularly in EPALE online discussion. And we want to know from you, how has it changed your life? How has it changed the work that you do? What have you learned and exchanged in your experiences on the EPALE community? So join us and find out more. Now let's go back to the birth story, the origin story of the EPALE community platform. And I'd like to introduce to you Geraldine Libreau, who from the European Commission's DG EAC, who we can consider the mother of EAC. So Geraldine, welcome, and tell us, what was the idea behind EPALE? How did it all start?
Thank you, Tamsin. Well, back in 2010, I was working for the Grundtvig program, which was funding European projects in the field of adult education. And we were celebrating the 10 years of the Grundtvig program with a conference which brought together 300 people. And I had the idea of creating EPALE after this conference. At the time, the main focus was on inclusion and working with vulnerable adults. We supported many different organizations, many of them non-for-profit associations, which were fighting illiteracy, working with seniors or prisoners, supporting family learning, and so on. And the event we organized in 2010 was very successful because all these people who work in the sector, the educators, the NGOs, the local authorities, also the researchers, they hardly ever had the chance to meet and to discuss how to work with adults, which is a very specific challenge, very different from other educational levels. So my idea was quite simple. I just wanted to help all these people to carry on the discussion online across Europe and to open it to many more people. The original objective of EPALE was to support quality adult education across Europe by providing all these adult education stakeholders with a free and a multilingual online platform, which didn't exist at the time. There was no space for these people to connect. And that platform would be a place for them to connect and a space for exchanging best practices and discussing ideas, but also to provide them with e-learning activities and a chance to share resources useful to their work. For instance, some case studies, some news, some innovative pedagogies, new teaching resources, also a calendar of events, and so on. So based on this idea, we ran a feasibility study, which showed that adult education stakeholders were very keen on the idea. We managed to find a budget to develop the platform, and then it took us another couple of years to develop the platform itself before we could finally launch it officially in 2015. So I'm glad now to see that we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Gondvik, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the stories from the EPALE users. Thank you.
Thank you. Really interesting to hear how the origin started really by being inspired by seeing the work that was being done by different stakeholders and recognizing that look, adult learning is a very unique category. You need a specific approach to that, and there needs to be a space for practitioners and policymakers to come together and share that. So if it all started with a conference of 300 people, things have changed a lot. So let's now hear from Willem Vukovic from DG EEC and the Commission. What has been achieved over the past 10 years?
Yes, thank you, Tamzin. And I would say that EPALE has made a big difference in adult learning. Let me share some of the key highlights. We have built a community with more than 164,000 members, making EPALE the biggest transnational network for adult learning in Europe. Around 100,000 people visit our platform every month. Thanks to EPALE, adult learning practitioners across Europe can exchange ideas and collaborate beyond borders. EPALE is full of valuable content, news, blogs, event updates, newscast, podcast, and a huge collection of resources and best practices. Over 60% of the content comes from users, making it a space where users share knowledge with each other. The platform is available in 32 languages, and 39 national support services work to recruit new users and adapt opportunities for their country's needs. They are overseen by the Central Support Service, which develops the platform and manages communication with stakeholders. EPALE is funded by Erasmus+, and therefore it plays a key role in supporting the program. We offer detailed Erasmus+ information and a tool to help organizations find project partners. EPALE has hosted hundreds of discussions, events, public and private groups, helping adult educators share ideas and find solutions together. A special highlight is our annual community conference, featuring inspiring keynotes, lively panel discussions, and interactive workshops. This year's conference is happening on the 22nd and 23rd of October, so don't miss it. A more recent feature is the My Community section, where users can explore top content and must reads. We also recognize our members' contributions with digital badges and celebrate the most engaged members in our Hall of Fame. EPALE also provides compelling community stories, bringing real-life experience to the forefront and showcasing the impact of adult learning. EPALE is now entering its next decade, but our focus remains on strengthening cooperation, shaping the future of adult learning, and supporting the professionalization of the sector. So our journey continues. Together, we make adult learning stronger.
Thanks very much, Willem. And wow, how the community has grown. As you said, that 60% of the material that you can find on this platform is provided by users themselves. They've got stories they want to share. They've got questions they want to bring up, discussions to promote. So it's really fantastic to see how that has come forward. But now let's explore a little bit more about how the EPALE community and the adult learning community fits within the Commission's future priorities for the adult learning sector. So let me introduce Aristea Politi from the European Commission's DG EPALE. So tell us what can we expect from the Commission's priorities for adult learning?
Thank you very much, Tamzin, for these questions, which comes at the right moment, especially after the adoption of the Union of Skills. So the European Commission's priority for adult learning is clear. We want to make sure that everyone in Europe has the skills they need to succeed in their lives and careers, no matter their age, their background, or where they live. So on the 5th of March, the Commission launched the Union of Skills, a strategy which was designed to prepare them for prepare people for their future by strengthening education, training, and lifelong learning. So what is the Union of Skills about? So it has some main objectives. So the first one is to make lifelong learning the norm, so that people can upskill, reskill, and change careers whenever they need to. A very important objective is to improve the basic skills like reading, maths, and digital literacy, as too many adults still struggle with them. And third, also to ensure that skills are recognized across Europe to make it easier to access quality jobs and opportunities, as well as to attract and retain talent from abroad. And a very big part of this strategy is increasing the attractiveness, excellence, and inclusivity of vocational education and training, because we really want VET to be seen as an equally valuable pathway as higher education, so it will be able to offer real career opportunities. And that's why the Commission is developing a European strategy for VET and also working towards new European VET diploma, always hand in hand with strengthening the centers of vocational education. But of course, none of this would be possible without educators. As you know, as you understand, teachers and trainers are in the heart of lifelong learning. And that's why we're rolling out the EU Teachers Agenda to improve working conditions, professional development, and the recognition of teachers across Europe. The world of work is changing very fast, and we don't want to leave anyone behind. So that's why EU is really investing in training, partnerships with businesses, such as like the Pact of Skills, and finding new ways to motivate and help adults learn, like individual learning accounts and micro-credentials. There are many nice things coming within the Union of Skills that we cannot really mention here, but be ready. And that's where EPALE also comes in. We're very, very proud of what EPALE has achieved so far. And as we look into the future, we're also excited about its role in the Union of Skills. It's a very strong role to continue, connect people, share knowledge, and empower educators to make a real difference. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And of course, I'm sure everyone in the community is justifiably proud of what has been achieved over the last 10 years by the adult learning community. So we've talked a little bit about the central support services and the EPALE platform, but now let's find out a little bit more about how the magic works at national level. And I'm delighted to introduce Marlies Eldenbosch from the National Support Service of the Netherlands. So can you, hello and welcome. Can you tell us a little bit more, what is the role of the National Support Services in the EPALE system?
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to hear Geraldine talk about the initial idea and to see what we're still doing today. At the National Support Services, we play a key role in promoting adult learning and supporting it, of course, at a national level. And it means that we exchange the knowledge and best practices and resources among educators and policymakers and all kinds of organizations involved in learning and lifelong learning and adult learning. And of course, we also manage national communities. For example, in the Netherlands, we have a very vibrant community regarding green skills. We provide guidance using the platform. We encourage the engagement through a lot of discussions and content creations. And to make it a bit more practical, to give you a few examples on what we do is to, for example, publish digital magazines around topics about the digital and green transition, but also how adults need to upskill and reskill their skills for the labor market, of course, like Marcia just told us, but also to be a happy person in life, to be a happy adult. But we also organize peer learning activities, for example, about the value of non-formal education or about innovative learning spaces. So all kinds of things to really stimulate and promote adult learning today.
Thank you. And I love the fact that you don't have a very narrow view of learning. You see it as part of a well-being and happiness approach, an approach to make sure that individuals can have the best life that they want, that they can have a sense of, what their goals are and how to achieve them. So really interesting to hear what you've been doing. Now, of course, this is the 10th year of EPALE, and there'll be celebrations happening all over. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we could expect in terms of celebrations?
Yes, there are a lot of activities happening through Europe to really celebrate the birthday of EPALE this year. For example, in Austria, our colleagues, they will organize a big event together with Erasmus Plus about artificial intelligence and how it's related to adult learning and adult education, about innovation and strengthening competences. And it's a big event, and it's happening in April already. I think in the next 2 weeks. And of course, they will highlight the 10th anniversary of EPALE through a lot of videos and using social media. And the same goes for our Italian colleagues. And they will organize a big party on a big square in Florence during the Festival of Europe. They will do that in May. And they will invite a lot of ambassadors and organizations associated with EPALE. And they also have this big surprise. I'm not going to tell you yet, but it is involving eating and Italy. So I guess it's a good combination when it comes together on the EPALE platform. And ourselves will celebrate it as well. At the moment, we are recording a lot of testimonials from former and current ambassadors to reflect on 10 years of EPALE. And also to look ahead to what the network has achieved and can still continue to contribute to adult education. And in October, we will have a big birthday party where we'll organize a meeting or kind of an event with an inspiring speaker to spark discussions on the relevance and importance of lifelong learning and adult education itself. And at the same time, of course, it's also a party, so it will be sort of a reunion, but also a time to make new connections and to really celebrate this big event.
Lovely, thanks. So interesting to hear about some of the different celebrations, and the Italian one sounds both delicious and culturally fascinating. So thanks very much. Now, each of our speakers so far has explained how important it is, the membership of the EPALE community, its diversity, its strengths, its differences. So, of course, we want to make sure that we always highlight and spotlight the work that they're doing. And each year there's this amazing publication called the EPALE Community Stories. Last year, the layout and the design was beautiful. It was designed as a sort of traditional style, sort of botanic book where you could look at sort of almost like patterns of flowers and trees, and it was absolutely beautifully done, and everyone who was in that, I'm sure, will have been justly proud of their beautiful space. So let's find out a little bit more about what this year's Community Stories process would be, and indeed more about how the community itself operates. So let me introduce Guido Adragna from the EPALE Central Support Service to tell us a little bit more about the call we've just launched for Community Stories of this year. Guido.
Hi, Tamsin. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here to celebrate the EPALE 10th anniversary and to talk a little bit about the EPALE Community Story Initiative. So we launched the EPALE Community Story Initiative in 2020 with the purpose of collecting inspiring stories of resilience from adult educators that at that time were responding to the COVID-19 crisis. Building on that first experience, we have continued to gather stories each year, exploring different aspects of the adult learning profession, and we engage with hundreds of EPALE community members. So this year, we want really to celebrate EPALE 10th anniversary. So we invite you to share your personal story under the theme Changes, marking a decade of collected wisdom. So it will be an opportunity to reflect on your journey as adult educator, and as an EPALE community member as well. So the call will be open until the 11th of July, and the selected story will be published on the EPALE platform. But as Tamsin was saying, we will also, gather all the stories that will be featured in the EPALE Community Storybook, which is an official publication of the European Commission. So what are you waiting for? So check out the call on the EPALE website and submit your story through the dedicated web form.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Guido, because we know that behind the scenes at both the National Support Services and the Central Support Services, there's a lot of focus on what can we do to just highlight and add value to the amazing work that we come across when we see practitioners and learners. And it's always so lovely to see, the concrete results of the work and the policies and programs that are being put in place to support adult learning. So there we are. I'm going to wrap up this webcast. I hope we've given you just a little bit of the flavor of the celebrations you can expect throughout the year. And of course, you can play a part. You can share your story. You can contribute. You can participate in the online discussion on the 15th of April, starting at 10 a.m. in the morning. And just tell us what's happened in the last 10 years. What changes have you seen? How has adult learning evolved in the changes in the world that we've seen in that time? So keep celebrating and look forward to seeing you all soon. Goodbye.